Okay, we in there like that. Excellent. Let's go here. Okay, we in there. Yeah, I like that. Put these headphones on. Let's get right. Yo, 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 yo. Make sure the audio right. Mm. Yo, 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 yo. Audio right, sounding right. I like that. Make sure we are rocking out. We in compliance. How's that light? See how this light ain't working. That's more the vibe. Or more this the vibe. Kind of like that right there. Okay, we going live. Top of the top, beloveds. Top of the top. Today is another beautiful Thursday. We are tapped in. I'm happy that you guys are. I'm happy that you guys are here with me today on this beautiful Thursday. There's so many things that's going on in the world, and I'm super appreciative to share these moments and have this sentiment with my loved ones that are here. Elizabeth is in the building. Crystal is in the building. Some loved ones. Today's gonna be a blessed day because we are alive, we are well, we are breathing, and I can't give enough immense amount of gratitude towards the things. Just giving gratitude towards life. We can find many things to give gratitude towards, and when you start to do that, you find different levels of appreciation. So I always love to give thanks to the Most High. I get in tune with oneself, understand that we all are gods and creators and goddesses, etc. And I want to be able to always tap into that level of frequency, that tap into that level of mind state, and exert that type of level of energy into the universe because that's what I want to receive back as I push things out there. So shout out to yourselves if you are here today. Shout out through some things today. If you have figured it out, if you are still figuring things out, if you won today, you took an L. Understand that it's always victory when you're able to look back and reflect on those moments. So I want to let you know that you are doing a wonderful job. There's always room for improvement. Continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to maximize your potential. I had a conversation with my nephew because I have frequent conversations with him um, on a daily. And I sent them a text message the other day, and I asked him. I said, "Can you do anything? Can you be anything in the world?" Right? And his response was no. And I was super proud and ecstatic because the thing is he understands that he can maximize his potential. Everybody has different leverage. Everybody has different skill sets. Everybody has a unique set of abilities that allows them to be them. So when he said no, it was just a constant reminder of how much that he's more familiar with who he is and continuously learn and grow and learn that he has the potential to maximize his own potential. But everything ain't for everybody. And that's the key. That's one of the keys that I've learned along my journey throughout life is figuring out that I can't be everybody. I can't do what everybody else do in order to be the best version of myself. So understanding who I am, knowing my limitations, knowing where I excel in, knowing the things that I could put into the universe that I'd be able to get um, the most leverage and yield the biggest return on, is me being myself. And I want you to understand that about who you are. So when I have these conversations with my nephew as an example, it's a good thing to reflect upon, just knowing he's tapping in more to of the things that he want to bring into his own existence. And I love to be appreciative of those moments that I share with him, share with people, share with like-minded individuals, because life isn't promised for tomorrow. And I got reminded of that from an experience when I went with my mother the other day to the doctor. Hold off right there, because we're gonna definitely dive into that subject matter today. What I want to do is give a big shout out to one of the sponsors on Respectfully Great Podcast, which is Guapavelli, my nephew, his brand right here. You go tap in with Guapavelli, My nephew, man, doing his 1-2, just came down from Georgia doing his thing at an event where he's showcasing his product, his talent, his unique ability, his skill set, networking. I'm proud of him. My nephew Kyrie, he's doing his 1-2. I love him unconditionally. I love my nieces, my nephews, my loved ones. I love everybody I come in contact with when it's, reciprocated and it's actually exerted back towards this way as well. So I want to highlight these things because it's very, very important to me to understand who we are, our purpose, and why we do what we do. Um, Very, 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 very important. I actually was watching something the other day too, with Gary V, and this happened to be like an interview that he did years ago. I would say 2 or 3 years ago, and he had said something in it that really, really struck me in a way to where it made me realize, man, I could really, really relate to that thing right there. So he had a close, really, really, really close relationship with his mother and his father, but his mother more so. And his mother had passed, his mother had gone. And one thing that he said he wanted to do was to scale the ability that his mother instilled in him as well as what God gave him. And I thought about that. I thought about that. I thought about that. Thought about that. And it made me think about so many profound things on what we can scale in our lives. And I refer this to so many things. I refer this to Dale Carnegie, some of the things that he say about 15% of our financial success is due to skill and ability. The other 85% is in human personality and communication, understanding humans, having that psychology of understanding human behavior and people. So when I learn about these things, when Gary Vee says something about what he feel like um, his life lessons and the things that he want to exert into the universe is about scaling what his God-given talents are from God himself, he, she, the entity within himself, that God entity within oneself, and some of the attributes that was passed down, the skill sets that he learned to develop through his mother. And it made me think about scaling some of the things in my life, right? One thing that I've seen in my family and the people that I'm around, a unique ability as far as like my mother relating to Gary Vee with that situation of her ability to have high levels of empathy. And what I've learned through her and innately with God given talent of understanding people and being better at communication and learning and wanting to grow in these areas, how do I scale that? And it made me think about what can I do in my life in order to scale the abilities that I was, blessed with. And it made me think about two things back to what Gary Vee was talking about with his mother, because he had broke down in the segment and it hit home because I have a close relationship with my mother as well. And I feel that there's certain things that God has blessed her with in her life. And God has blessed you with things in your life. And God bless he or she and them and they with things in their lives. And how many times do we dismiss it because we look at these things as not God-given talents or attributes or skill sets or leverage in our own lives? So when you talk about the word scale, it made me think about scaling empathy, right? Having high levels of empathy, caring for somebody else other than yourself as if you were in their shoes. And it made me think about how do I scale some of the attributes that I got going on in my own life? And then it made me think about not only Gary Vee, made me think about Dale Carnegie when he said about uh, financial success, 85%, 15% is due to skill and ability, and the other 85 is due to understanding humans, communication, personality. And I say, wow, a lot of these things align with who I am and my purpose because I love to be ideally a better communicator. So every day I'm willing to go out there and try, do things that I'm not familiar with in order to learn things about me, learn things about other people, and learn things about the environment that I am in and how do I level up who I am. What things can I bring to the table in order to learn, add value, and, further my purpose because we shape and mold our purpose from our design. Tyler, what's up, loved one? Peace, God. So my whole thing is where do I begin? And I consume a lot of information, but the thing is, if you don't use it, you lose it. So a lot of times I regurgitate some of these statements because I give kudos to where I heard the information from, but also I love to use these things in real time to see if it applies to me and if it works. Because a lot of times we hear information and sometimes it doesn't apply to who you are and it doesn't suit your purpose at the very time. Sometimes we can consume information and we're not ready to receive it, or we're not able to utilize it at the right time. A lot of times we can come up against circumstances and opportunities, and we have not yet become the person that in order to receive it and utilize it and maximize, the opportunity that comes to us, because we can't even recognize what's in front of us. So a lot of times when I hear these things and I see these things, I say, well, how does this apply to me in my life? How can I utilize it? How can I, make the most out of the information that I do consume? So when I hear things about empathy, communication, being better than I was yesterday, it made me think about if we haven't yet to become the person, right? We can show proof of effort, and that's something that was very, very key that I heard from Alex Hormozy. A lot of times we say, okay, I can't come and I can't do the job or task because I'm not yet qualified. But the only way that you get qualified is by doing the thing. And a lot of times what we miss out on is that we always want to show up as the expert, right? The person that already done the thing. Now, which is a beautiful thing in due time when you can say, hey, I have proven fact or proof that I've gone down this path. I've done this thing. I got a certain amount of results. I'm qualified to speak about this topic, this thing, this skill. I'm able to come into the space and environment to provide this thing, and people could, utilize it to their benefit. But what happens when you feel like, hey, I don't have no skill set. I don't have nothing to offer. I have nothing to bring to the table. What do I do at that point? And something that was super, super profound that allowed me to do some of the things that I'm doing now, and building on some of my incapabilities, which I'm learning to strengthen, what I'm getting better at. It says, you know what? If I show proof of effort, I'm on the right path. If I've yet to become the expert in the field. So showing proof of effort before I become the expert. Another thing by Sean Cannell. Sean Cannell was start before you're ready. He says that all the time. Sean Cannell says, start before you're ready. His YouTube is Think Media. And I listen to all of these terms, and in so many words, they all are saying the same thing of start, just do the thing. And a lot of times we get discouraged because we taught in some of the systems that we grew up in have the right answer. And a lot of times the right answer is starting, is doing the thing, showing proof of effort. So when I listened to all of these things, it made me get out of my own way. A lot of times I was stagnated in my own life, and I kept coming against roadblocks because I kept telling myself that I'm not ready yet. I haven't done enough yet. I haven't became the expert yet. But not knowing that my whole life is the testimony for me to show up to be where I'm at in real time right now, to do a thing. Everybody is an expert to a degree at something. Sometimes we may be directionally wrong. Sometimes we are going in the right direction, but haven't put on the armor to show up as the person that's showing proof of effort, and it stagnate us. Sometimes we hit those roadblocks because we are second guessing ourselves, looking for approval from other people. And the only approval that you need in those moments is your approval. Sometimes we need to hear the yes from ourselves, but we go to other people, asking other people, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Should I do this or should I not do this? A lot of times we seek in other people's approval, not accepting ourselves, and a lot of times we fall short in those moments because if somebody says no, then what? Does it stop us from doing everything that we are working towards or working up to get to? And I've done that, and I'm speaking from a place of experience, of being of stopping my own progression, because I came up against roadblocks that were only embedded in my own mind without anybody saying anything. So now I'm dealing with the roadblock of self, me blocking me, then listening to people that are not going where I'm going, and they have a different direction, and they telling me, no, that's not feasible, that's not accomplishable, you can't do that. You're going down the wrong path, you misguided, somebody sold you a dream, you shouldn't spend your money on that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. That's not going to work for you. You don't suit that color. You don't fit into that environment. Or, that school setting isn't for you. That job isn't for you. That girlfriend and guy or whoever you want to be with, that person is not for you. Not understanding that you are where you are for a reason. And there are lessons that need to be learned by you being where you are. Every place that you are in your life, you chose because it was led down those paths from the decisions that you have made. It was led down those path by the decisions that you made. Yes, there are things that are around us that influence us. Ultimately, it's your decision to do or not do. And sometimes that stops us from getting to where we need to go because we are listening to other people. We're not listening to ourselves. We don't trust ourselves because we have heard every lie that we told ourselves. Myron Golden says that. He said the reason why we don't trust ourselves is because we are the only ones that heard every lie that we told ourselves. Powerful. Powerful. When I listened to that, that made me it sat me back in my seat because I'm like, wow, how many times that I wasn't transparent with that one thing? How many times did I lie to myself about that particular situation? How many times did I tell myself, I'll do it today and don't do it today, and it's a week from now and a month from now and then 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and I've yet to do the thing. And then now I'm looking back like, you know what? Well, maybe I'm not qualified to be that person. Maybe I'm not showing up as that person because I'm constantly lying to myself. Maybe I don't trust myself because I'm the only person that heard every lie that I told myself. And then what do we do in those positions? We don't trust ourselves. So if we don't trust ourselves, we stop. We don't even open up the door to trust anybody else. We have a comment. Y'all, man, brings some sub-level one. We have a comment for Lizzie. She says, how do you shift or how did you shift your mindset? Powerful question. I love that. What I started to do is that I started to, of course, everybody says start with mindset. Now, mindset is definitely primary, right? Because you have to start thinking different in order to lead you down the path to do different. But I equate two things in order to start this shift, right? I looked around first and I started saying, you know what? For some odd reason, my life, the way it is at this very moment, I don't like it, right? Not saying that I'm not appreciative, not saying that I don't show immense amount of gratitude, but I just don't feel comfortable here. I want more. I started asking myself the questions like, well, what do you really want out of life, right? And I started to ask myself, I started to journal some of these things. I started writing it down in a journal, and I started asking myself questions. I started to sit with myself. So the first things I started to do, if I could, no sequential order, right? If I could just memorize and say, what did I do in order to get to the point where I'm at this very moment? I started questioning things around me. I started to question things around me. I started to question myself. I had to start sitting with myself. When you start sitting with yourself, form a meditation. You can leave your eyes closed, sit in silence, sit in a room by nobody else, look around you, and start posing questions to yourself and answer them. Answer them. And if you can't answer those questions, those are the questions that you need to go back to and start reevaluating. So in order to shift my own mind, first, before I started to know like that the shift is possible, I was going through some confusing things in my own life and saying, you know what? I don't like the way my job is going. I don't like the way my business is going. I don't like the way my relationships are going. I don't like the way my friendships are going. I don't like the way I look in the mirror. I don't like the way my physique is. I don't like the way that my whatever it is, whatever insecurities that I had going on in my own life, I started to look at those things. And I started to ask the questions, why, first and foremost, why don't I like my physique? Am I overweight? How did I get here? Okay, first identifying, well, where do I find problems at? Sitting with myself, brainstorming, going through some of these ideas of saying, okay, let me start questioning what's going on in my life. How's my relationships? Do I like them? Yes, no. Can they be better? Okay. Just identifying what's going on around me, because a lot of times we are programmed. So we do things as a routine. And sometimes subconsciously we are going through the motions and not really realizing the world that we are creating for ourselves. We living in an assimilation, right? We living in a created world. And the created world, although there are things in the physical world, Those are all manifestations of thoughts and perspectives that were from somebody else that created, that put in place. That building that we are in, the building that I live in, the housing that I'm in, all of these things that are around me was somebody else's thoughts that I actually came upon from knowing that they existed in my own mind. Okay, I wanted to move in my own place. I wanted to build. I want to move here. Da da da. I had all these ideas, and then poof, there was a building that was here that said, "Hey, maybe let's try this building right here." So this was somebody else's thought that put the building here that led me down this path to say, "Hey, I want to be in this place, in this space." So when you start thinking about, okay, where am I? What world am I living in? How's my life going? Questioning what's going on in your life and in your world, you'll start to realize, hey, everything around me, I've created to a degree. I've created because this is what led me down these paths, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, the things I said yes to, the things I directly said no to, the things I gave maybes, the things I let other people detail and depict about who I am, where I need to be at, and in my life, it led me to be where I'm at today. So shifting the mind before I start the format that and actually make some change, the thing that I had to do was sit with myself and question everything that's going on in my life. Ask myself these questions. And then what I started to do and what I started to realize, once I started to question what's going on around me, I started to put deep thought into how I got there. So prime example, if we're using weight as an example. When I had some of my surgeries, I had shoulder surgery, foot surgery, knee surgery, etc. Right? And when I was going through these times, there was times where I wasn't working at my job. I wasn't doing much business in my business, and I was out of work for 4 months, 3 months, 5 months, etc. For pretty long durations, right? And in the midst of me being out, I started to eat, gain weight, not exercise. I started to gain more weight. Actually, I ended up gaining about 30 pounds. I was 198, almost 2 pounds away from being 200 pounds. Remind you, I'm only 5'4" in height and stature, right? Never been that big. Only one time in my life when I was behind the wall, I got that big because I was on the streets eating like that too. Just not doing much, just eating. But when I got in there, I toned up, got right, just working out, exercising, getting a good rest, etc. But I was almost 200 pounds. So I started to question, well, how did I get here? And I started to backtrack and seeing some of the patterns and the behaviors that I was doing daily that led me up to be where I was at. Some of the programming, some of the routines, some of the things that I was, doing subconsciously, eating subconsciously, and not really monitoring and paying attention to what's going on in my life until I woke up one day and say, look in the mirror like, oh, there's a problem here. There's a clear problem here. So I identified what the problem was. I sat with myself. I started to question things around me and figured out, okay, there's some things that I want to change. Once I figured out there's some things that I wanted to change, I started to isolate these things and started to say, you know what? If I want to change this, if I want to change this state of this thing, what do I have to do in order to affect the change in order to present a new outcome? So the first things were, okay, you gain this weight. How are my eating habits? I had to change how I looked at food, right? Instead of picking up every, ice cream, cookie, donut, etc., I said, you know what? Consciously, with intention, say, you know what? I'm purposely, on purpose, I am not going to pick up the donut, cookie, etc. Not saying that I did it cold turkey, because I didn't. I said, you know what? Let me slowly but surely digress a little bit, not eat as much. So instead of me eating 4 or 5 donuts a day, cut it down to 2. And I did this as a daily thing. I did a few things. I did that. I cut down on the things I was eating. I started to exercise once I healed up, etc. I started to walk every day, and I start um, putting things in place. There's a book, uh, uh, Habits. What's the gentleman name? Got the book over there somewhere. Where's it at? Man, I can't think of the name of the book. Something with habits, right? Forgot about it. But long story short, he said in order to change, um, in order to create a new habit, we gotta be able to put things in place in order to allow us to think more along the lines mind over matter. Absolutely, Ty. Absolutely, loved one. Mind over matter. Absolutely. That's one of the things that you had to start to put in place. The mind over matter aspect. Atomic Habits. There you go, Lizzie. Atomic Habits by forgot the gentleman name. Atomic Habits. But absolutely, that's the book, right? And what I started to do was I started to do things in order that led me down the path of creating a new habit. So prime example, I knew that every day that I wanted to go to the gym, but I would find excuses not to go until I started to find myself not having any excuse. I would pack my gym bag, I would lay out my clothes, all my gym stuff, etc. Cut off the phone, no distractions, because I started finding out I was looking for reasons not to keep on track with the behavior in order that allow me to be James Clear. Absolutely, James Clear, Atomic Habits. I started to do things and put in place to substitute the reasoning for me not to do the thing. So instead of me picking up the donut, I would replace the donut with a piece of fruit. I started replacing things around me that will allow me to get to, leading me down the path that will allow me to do the thing in order to lose the weight. So I started replacing the mind over matter. I started replacing the things that I used to, the things that I used to do. And James Clear, he was talking about in the book, not to jump around too much, right? To give a clear analogy, right? James Clear said what he found out what people were smoking, right? In order to stop people from smoking, he started to figure out that people habitually done things that enable them to smoke. So prime example, some people say, hey, I need to get a cigarette every time I finish eating dinner. That was a thing that people done. Hey, every time I finish eating dinner, I need to take a bogey break. Or some people say, hey, every time I go to the bathroom, I got to take a bogey break. So what he started to realize is that once you place the stimuli, once you replace the cigarette with something else to substitute that, you start to break the chain of habit. So what I noticed with a lot of smokers, right, what they've done was, I know people that smoke for long periods of time, and it's every time that they thought of smoking, since they like oral people, they would take a piece of gum, chewing gum. And every time they thought about taking a cigarette, they would eat a piece of chewing gum. And slowly but surely, when they did the thing, when they go to the bathroom and they wanted to go pick up a cigarette, they replaced the cigarette with a piece of chewing gum. I started to adapt that same philosophy when it came to me wanting to lose the weight. Instead of me grabbing the donut, I started replacing it with a piece of fruit. Every time I wanted juice, I go pick up a cup of water. And I kept doing that over time. And slowly but surely, I started to create different habits, all because of my behavior. I acted different. A lot of times we misplace how we act because we're not told that our behavior is the driving factor that drives us down the path of doing particular things. So when I started to understand these things, besides, I've read the books, etc., but when I started to analyze these things and actually put these things in play, now they're addicted to chewing gum. Absolutely, Ty. Yeah, absolutely. Now they're addicted to chewing gum. You're right, though. You're right. A lot of people are addicted to chewing gum, but I think that is it's a better substitute until they be able to figure out something else to replace that. But that is so true. That's how I quit smoking, and I love gum. As Elizabeth, she said that too. That's how she quit smoking. Ty is absolutely right with that. That's a big finny. That is a big fact. And these are the things that we have to learn over time. Hey, pick the two of the lesser evils, right? Yeah, I may get some teeth that may, with the sugar, etc., rotting away at the enamel until we start figuring out better habits and replacing those things with other things that would be more productive and conducive to us in the long haul. Ty says definitely better. Absolutely, family. So these are some of the things that I find myself being in a lot of the times where I compromised who I am, what I've done, and I created some of these bad habits because I didn't equate the habit to a behavior. And I started to understand that in my life, everything around me is primarily created from the thoughts I have and the behaviors that are carried out. So when I started to shift the mind, and what's up, loved one, A-Rod, when I started to shift my mindset and started to change my behavior, how I've done things, how I've seen things in my life started to change. Things in my life started to change. And I started to read more. I started to get more intuitive. I started to get more intrinsic, started finding value within oneself because I started to build up a trust with myself. A lot of times we don't do things because we don't trust ourselves because we heard every lie that we told ourselves. So a lot of times when we say, hey, how do I build up trust? How do I trust other people? First, we always got to look within. Everything starts from within. It's from creating a mindset around, creating things that are conducive for us, looking ourselves in the mirror, and carrying out the behaviors that will affect the turnout. Sometimes the turnouts be good, sometimes the turnouts be bad. But 9 times out of 10, when you're doing things that are more beneficial to you, you're going to yield a higher return of productivity other than, destruction and atrophy. So what I primarily would say is start trusting yourself. You build that trust up by doing things continuously and doing things. You build up more trust and tolerance when you do a particular thing more times. So a lot of times when we learn how to ride the bike, we don't learn how to ride the bike to hopping on the bike and falling and say I'm done with the bike and never attempt to get on the bike again. The way we learned how to ride the bike was I got on the bike, I fell. I got back on the bike and I fell. I got back on the bike again, pedal once, twice, fell again, pedal 3 times. And then eventually, the more times you do a thing, you build up a level of tolerance. That's the same way we got to do when we start building up that trust within oneself and start shifting our mindset. Because in the beginning, we're going to be tempted. We're going to be distracted. There are going to be things that lead us down a path that way. You know what? I want to go back to my comfort zone because this right here is hard. This is difficult. But what I talked about, when I said about the lady Laura Boyd, the way you start to actually get smarter and be able to build up tolerance in your life and do things that you couldn't even imagine is by doing hard things. It's by doing hard things. And once you start doing harder things over and over and over again, you start to build up a level of tolerance. That's how we got to start building that trust with oneself. We got to start looking at ourselves and say, I trust myself. Even when you fail, I trust myself. Even when you fail. You know what? Today, I trust myself even more. Even when you fail. Elizabeth says, now I can speak for myself and probably others, but how do you stay consistent without stopping midway? What are keys you use to stay consistent? Consistency is, I don't like to use the terms difficult, hard, right? What helps me be consistent, prime example, today, I'm doing a live, right? I've done lives before. I created my podcast before. Every week is a challenge for me. Every week is a challenge for me. Because there's things that I say, well, maybe I'm not prepared, or maybe I'm over prepared, or someone supposed to come on, this supposed to be that supposed to be this didn't work out, my pen ain't working, my writing, the lighting, there's so many things that I put inside my mind that causes me distractions that want to lead me away from doing the thing. So the consistency is always challenged. The consistency is always on the chopping block. And the reason being is because I have yet to build up the tolerance. But the way you build up the tolerance is by doing the thing, right? Getting comfortable with showing proof of effort. So my whole thing is, even though I go back to the drawing board after the live is over, the first thing I do is show up. I show up. I show proof of effort. That's the first thing. In order to be consistent, right? What would stop you from being a perfectionist? What would stop you normally from saying that all the bells and whistles has to be checked off? I have the right clothes on. I had to have the right look. I had to have the haircut. I have to do blah 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 blah. All of the long checklists that I normally used to have, I do away with it now. I crumbled up that piece of list. I threw that list out. And my whole thing is, in order for me to be consistent, my first thing is, okay, Johnny, show up. Show up. Show proof of effort. That's how I'll be able to be consistent at the particular thing. Because a lot of times we get discouraged because we put so many things in our own way that distract us from doing the thing. So consistency is one of those things that never stops. Consistency, like once you stop doing the thing, you're not consistent. Same thing. It's funny you say that because in that book with James Clear said the same thing. If it was in a book or an interview, James Clear said the same thing. He said, once you stop doing the thing, you're no longer consistent. So that means that it's an ongoing process that you never have to stop. You got to do it every day. Every time that you want to show up and be the person to do the thing, you got to show up like it and do the thing. Consistency is, okay, doing something repetitive, never stopping. You got to have a programming in your mind to say, you know what? I'm going to do this no matter what the circumstances are. And for me, that's been working. It's been working. Here it is. This is my 11th episode. I've seen people like Christopher Williamson. He has like 800 some episodes. You look at people like Joe Rogan. He been doing this for 15, 20 years. I can't even tell you, over 1,000 some episodes. I was watching the guy that wrote the book The Purple Cow, Seth Godin. Seth Godin, he wrote a blog post every day for like 20 years. Every day. So when you talk about levels of consistency, I'm saying, okay, Johnny, you're on the 11th. You're on the 11th. And you got people that did 20 years every day. Think about it, every day, 365 days out of a year for 20 years. And I'm on my 11th. So the good thing about it is that, okay, if I don't plan on stopping, I'm already possessing the winner mindset. If I say I'm going to show up and show proof of effort, no matter how the turnout may be, I've won already. So I'm already taking the steps towards the W and making sure I count the micro. I count the micro steps. A lot of times we don't pat ourselves on the back for the small things that we do. The small things compound. It's just like compound interest. You make a small investment initially. You don't even notice that you made the investment. It's like having a big water jug and you putting coins in it. You don't really realize the coins are stacking up until it's stacked up halfway. Whoa. Now I noticed that one day you walk inside the room, you say, damn, my piggy bank, this thing got, some coins in it. Coins, dollars, sporadic. You put different things in it. All of a sudden, you got half a jug full of money. Compounding. Doing the thing every day. So in my mind, I already won. Regardless of how the turnout is, because on a micro level, on a small level, I got the small W first. Now on a macro level, on a big level, that means I got to go back to the drawing board and say, where can I improve at? What can I do better? How do I get better? Do I start on time? Changing the small things. When I was watching the guy that trained a bunch of Olympic athletes, and what he said was what he noticed about all of those number one Olympic athletes that got the medals. He said when he trained them, he noticed that what they really, really focused on was whatever they did right, they just kept perfecting the thing that they already did well. They didn't focus on what they was lacking. And I found that to be super, super profound, because I'm like, a lot of times we go back to the drawing board and we want to fix everything that's wrong instead of strengthening our strengths already. Being better at the thing to where it's like second nature. Why is Steph Curry able to shoot the way he shoot? Because, no, he was a good shooter, became a great shooter, and shoots all day. Whether he miss or make. I swear, that's probably the only athlete that I've seen when it came to basketball that every time he shot the ball, I think the shot is going in more times than miss. That there's no other player on the planet that I thought every time he shoot the ball, it's going to go in more times than he missed. In the sense of when they release the ball, no matter how many times he missed in a row, every time he released the ball, I think the ball's going in, because he built up a level of tolerance of just doing the thing over and over and over and over again. Not with the thought of ever stopping. Elizabeth says, you set your mind to block out the outside noise. Absolutely. Distractions. That's what we all mostly distracted by. The phone, the television, the bleeps, the television, the people. There's so many things. I was talking to my cousin Black the other day, and me and him was building, and we was talking about he had multiple businesses, serial entrepreneur. And I asked him, I'm like, have you ever, like, for one day, like, sat out a time? Because I asked myself the same question, and my answer for me was no. I asked him, have you ever sat out a time in one of your days to where the only thing you did for that whole day was work on your business? His answer was no. And my answer was no. And it made me sit back like, wow, out of all of the great things that he already accomplished in his businesses, out of the things that I've accomplished in mine, and I'm like, how much further would I be if I did this, if I put more into the thing and I've done more of the thing? A lot of times we are distracted by the outside noise. We pay attention to everything else that's going on around us that don't hold any merit. Jerry Seinfeld says what he does is, in order to block out distractions, he go inside of a room every day, whether he had a stand-up coming up or not, whether he got a TV show airing or not. He says what he does every day for training and building up tolerance. He go inside his own room, one room in the house, no television, no phone, can't do anything. The only things he can do in that room is sit there quietly, not do nothing, or write. So that means he can't go in there and play with his phone. He can't look out. He can do nothing in that room for the 2 hours, 3 hours that he's in that room every day. The only thing he can do in that room is sit there, do nothing, or write. Powerful. You know what happens in that time, in that space? You start to build up a different level of tolerance of doing the thing, utilizing your time. Because you start to sit back saying, wow, I'm sitting here for 2-3 hours not doing anything. Waste of time. But I can't be no other place, whether you got family, kids, etc. You think about that time. Wow, why would I sit here and waste 2-3 hours sitting in a room doing nothing and avoiding the work that's necessary to be done when I could spend this other time with loved ones, family, doing other things that could be still productive? But how many times do we miss out on the opportunities of working on our businesses, working on ourselves, working on things that will yield us a higher return? How many times do we miss out on that? A majority of the time, because we distracted with other things that don't hold no merit. So I want you to try that, even for self. So you know what? Hey, whatever my profession is, and even if you do it every day, what if you just time blocked every day and say, regardless of what's going on out of the other leisure time that I may have, let me time block, let me cut out this chunk of time every day, 2 hours, 3 hours, hour, whatever it may be, and sit in this space. And only thing I have to do is work on my business or something that's going to yield you the higher return in the long run. How many times have you done that? What happens if you say you decide today, make a decision and say, you know what, going forward, every day I'm going to time block for an hour, 2 hours, etc. And the only thing that I'm going to do is work towards the things that I say I want to bring into my life. If you say you want to bring peace, meditation, reading books, whatever it may be, whatever the things that you heard, seen, or want to bring into your life, you only could do that thing every day for those particular hours during the time block. What type of return you think you would get within a month? Things would change drastically. Drastically. The things that we don't make time for, the things that we say that we want, because we're comfortable doing the things that we already been doing. We built up a level of comfort in this space. I'm the first person to talk about it because I do it. I find things to navigate around doing what I need to do. My girl tell me all the time, hey, did you finish prepping for the live? You have a week to do that. But here it is. I'm cramming time in order to be prepared for the thing 10 minutes before I air. I do it too. So on a micro level, showing up, great. On the macro level, preparedness. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Am I preparing right? Am I doing it in enough time span? Do I time block on my Thursdays the way I need to? Do I pick up the phone unnecessarily when I don't need to pick up the phone? When I get up in the morning, do I do my routines? Do I do what I need to do necessary to etch out the time to focus on what I need to focus on? Getting better at it, having yet perfected it, but understand that this is something that I have to do every day if I want to be better. And a lot of times they say that a C player, average C player, can beat out any A player that doesn't work. Because most people are average. People are spectacular when they be in their purpose, when they shape and mold their purpose. People are spectacular. People are marvelous. People are God-given, heaven sent when they in their purpose. But most people don't be in their purpose because everybody just go through the motions. Right? But what happens when you consciously and with intention say, you know what? I'm going to do this particular thing right here and work on this every day. And you don't see quit in you. You see, hey, I'm going to do this as long as it takes till I finish. Regardless. And I don't look like finishing no time soon because this is what my driving factor is to where I want to be, who I'm desired to be, who I want to morph into. This is the person that I'm looking to become. I'm becoming the thing, the person that I am already. When you possess that mindset already of saying that I'm just showing up and doing the work every day with or without, You start to build up a different level of tolerance. You start to build up a different level of trust. You start to be able to trust not only yourself, you be able to start trusting other people. You start being able to put systems and automations in place in order to allow you to work more efficiently. But that comes on a macro level when you start to revise and reevaluate the things that you have done and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work. Let me exclude the things that didn't work and start implementing more of the things that did work every time I do a live. That's how Alex Hormozi says, listen, after you do 100 sessions, find the best 10 sessions that you have done. Go back and evaluate what made those 10 sessions the best out of the 100 that you did. And make sure that you mimic those same behaviors that worked for the 10. Do that every one going forward. So now you start putting different systems in place to allow you to work more efficiently. Everything works progressively over time. Of course, you got to go back and revise the work and see what you have done, see where you can make improvements at. But the first thing is you got to show up, build that trust factor within oneself, trust you, look yourself in the mirror and say, no, I can do it, and tell yourself, listen, I'm not stopping until the wheels fall off, literally, meaning that I don't see no stop. When I look at these other people and I compare myself, because they said a lot of times it's not about who you surround yourself around, it's who you compare yourself to. It's not about who you surround yourself around. It's who you compare yourself to. So when I talk about consistency, first I follow people that are consistent. I watch out how they show up. And what do they do when they show up? Okay, Joe Rogan, X amount of thousands of podcast episodes. Christopher Williamson, I know he's over 1,000 now. Last time I seen this months ago, he was at 800 and some change. But he's doing podcasts damn near every day. So he's well over 1,000 podcast episodes. When I watch Seth Rogen, or I wrote a blog post every day, 365 days of the year for 20 years straight. That's consistency. You know why? Because he told himself, I'm going to show up with or without no matter what. Regardless. And that's some of the mindset that we got to be able to possess. But it starts with you. It starts with you showing up for you, saying that I'm willing to do this with or without. Because there are going to be some times you're going to have to go without. There's some times you're going to have to go without. Pretty rare. What's up, loved one? 100 Wave. What's up, loved one? There are going to be some times that we have to go without. And there are going to be people, David Banner said this, right? David Banner said, in life, there are going to be some people that walk with you a little bit further until you start walking by yourself. And I didn't understand it. But I watched this, right? This is years ago. And stuck with me like a sore thumb. He said, imagine four your friends hanging out. 4 of you guys hanging out at night. One person may go home at 8 o'clock. Now you got three fellows left. The other person may go home at 12. Damn, now you're down to 2 people. The other person is getting late. They may stay out with you. The other person may go home at 3 o'clock in the morning. So everybody's supposed to be night riders, and everybody's supposed to be hanging out, riding till the wheels fall off until you find yourself outside at night, alone, by yourself. That's how life works. There are going to be people that walk a little bit further with you in life. Some people say, man, me walking a little, this right here, this is where I stop. My legs are hurting. They're going to stop with you after walking for an hour. They're hanging out with you at night. They walking with you. You guys are walking. One person say, after an hour of walking, I'm done. This ain't my walk. They get off the trail. The other person may walk a little bit further. They may walk 4 or 5, hours with you. Then they off the trail. The other person may walk, 3/4 of the desired, goal where you're trying to reach around, that trail, etc. to get your destination. That person may walk 3/4 of the way. They may get off the track. But now you have a decision to make. Do you want to go home or you want to continue to walk? Most journeys in our life are going to be like that. It's going to be walks that you have to do lonely, by yourself. But then what happens when you're out there scared and alone? And we looking for someone else's approval. When everybody else went home and we follow suit, how you think you ever going to reach your destination if you're getting off the trail earlier than you're supposed to? And that's your trail that you created. That's the place that you say you're desired to go. Those are the things that you say you want to bring into your life. Everybody have different needs, wants. People do things for one reason only, because they want to. Everybody do exactly what they want to do because that's what they want to do. And a lot of times we equate our happiness to what the other person, thinks about what I have on. How your shirt look? What do you think about this shirt? No, do you like the shirt? Oh, what do you think about the money in my pocket? Are you happy with the money that you got in your pocket? Because there's some people that I know outside on the corner that's panhandling. And they happy sticking their hand out and receiving anything that anybody give them. versus going to a place and working for what they want to have in their own pocket, or building up the businesses that they desire to have, to say, this is the type of money that I want in my life. Or you could be the panhandler, hold your hand out and just receive what anybody gives you. What type of person do you want to be? Because both of them are right. Both of them are right. But it's still objective. It's still, person to person. It's still up to you to decide whether that works for you or doesn't. But if you never trust in you and you're waiting on somebody else to tell you that it's okay, what happens for the rest of your life when you're just waiting on approval for other people? And what happens, what I started to notice, that a lot of people may not tell you the honest truth anyway. Because Gary Vee says, get around people that love you enough to tell you the truth. Most people are going to lie to you. Because sometimes, I was watching Shields, the one I go with Pat Poose. She made an ill quote. She said that most people don't want what you give them. They want what you have. And I said, what? And I sat back and I pondered on this and I thought about this. She said, most people don't want what you give them. They want what you have. And that hit home so crazy, because she was making an analogy about her sister, right? And she was saying that she done everything for her sister and her sister kids, put her kids through school, have her kids custody, she did the whole 9 yards. And her and her sister are at odds for whatever reason, right? And she said that she learned not only from her sister's situation, she said that no matter how much you give a person, people just don't want what you give them. They want your life. So if you are living your life the way you want to live your life, and people want your life, you think they're gonna guide you down the right path to get you the most abundance that you can have? You think people gonna bring you to the water to make sure that you have and live fruitful, and they don't get a part of that or a piece of that? Ideally, we will want these things, but we got to get around other environments, other people that have these things for self, that, learn and know that it's possible. Some people want you to do good, just not as good as them. We've seen that. We come from some of the environments that we are in, dog eat dog. Now, I want you to do good just enough that you don't do better than I do. I've seen that all the time. But think about these things. When people possess that type of mindset, do you think that they have your best interests at heart? Highly doubt it. So why are we seeking approval from some of these people that don't want you to win in the first place? So a lot of times we got to be able to change people, places, things, mindset. Start building up who you are and trust in yourself. 100 Wave, young bro said, babe bro, said, preach. Absolutely, loved one. He know like I know. There's a bunch of us that be in these positions and look around and say, oh, that person didn't clap for me. Or that person didn't cheer for me. Or this person didn't do that. Or this person didn't do this. Because a lot of times we seek approval from people that don't want you to win in the first place. So instead of seeking the approval from other people, approve yourself. Check that mark off in your book. Say, you know what? I stamp me. With or without. Whoever want to go to the places I'm going and we happen to be on the same journey, beautiful thing. But still understand that there may come a time when they get off that trail. We the same up or down. Absolutely, loved one. Same people, same individuals. You know why? Because we identify who we are at core, at heart. We look intrinsically. We look like we find the value from within. When you start finding value from within, everything outwardly is just, smaller possessions of, the mind, what the mind created. Everything in here could go. Everything around me can go. It ain't going to change who I am as a person. Mindset-wise, all these things can be acquired. Again, these are materialistic possessions. Everything around me is a materialistic possession. My mind is where everything is created at. Right here. Everything is created here. They can lock me up, but they can't lock the mind up. And that's where we got to start pouring more into who we are, because there's so many great things that we have to offer the world. Jazzy Zev said, go to the grave empty. Put your creativity out there in the world. Put your mind in the world, because there's so many things that you have to offer because of the life that you live. Everybody's circumstances are different. No matter how much we can compare and say that we are alike, Nobody's one the same. You can grow up in the same household and see things totally different from your siblings, from your loved ones, from your parents, from your kids. Everybody can be in the same space, in the same shared space, but depending on what frequency they tapped into is going to dictate how they look and perceive situations, and their perspective is going to change. If somebody is, watching, love and hip hop, you're gonna yield love and hip hop type of results. If you got somebody that's into Animal Planet, you're gonna yield somebody that's, Animal Planet attracted, etc. Somebody's money driven, they watching all money shows, they gonna, gear and base a lot of their perceptions and perspectives around money. None of it's good or bad. It's all perspective. But what perspectives do you want to add to your your mindset? Because that's what it is. The mindset is coming from the things that, we thinking about. What you think about, you bring about. So what thoughts are we putting inside of our minds? What things are we influencing? What things are we around? What things are we watching? What things are we seeing? My man Nitty said, everything is food. What type of diet are we on? What type of mindset are we possessing? What things are we tuned into? What frequency? What things do we frequently see? Frequency is what you frequently see. What are you tapped into? What things are you seeing all the time that altering how you look and perceive things? All of it matters. And a lot of times we dismiss it because we say, that really ain't about nothing. I could do a little bit of this. I got a little bit of vices. I could do a little bit of that. Shout, what's up, loved one? I could do it all. For me, I know I couldn't do it all. I had to start slowing up in some of the areas of my life because I start seeing that the return on my investment wasn't yielding me the best. I had a lot of vices. I had a lot of things going on. I used to catch 99 tickets. Me and my cousin, we be in a race for who caught the most tickets, who got the most car accidents, who did the most hanging out at night, who did the most drinking, who bought the most bottles. We did blah, 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 blah. All these things that in the long haul didn't serve us at the highest level. Because we know that there's some other things that we could have, instead of spending my money on parking tickets, how about I took that and invested that into my business? Instead of me spending money on the parking tickets, how about I invested that into my future, taking a course, doing something, or compound that in the area where I say I want to grow my money, my finances, put that in the piggy bank, put that in the jar, in the room. But a lot of times we don't look at those things as investments. Everything you do is an investment. Everything you do is an investment. But be so programmed by doing the things a particular way because you always done them. Just because you did it a particular way, that doesn't mean that it's right. Even if I've done something my whole life 20 years ago, how does that apply now in 25? Does it make sense to do the same thing I've been doing 20 years ago, thinking that's going to work today? Some things may, some things may not. Some things may, some things may not. But if things aren't working, you hitting that brick wall and you coming against friction and you can't figure out why things aren't working, these are the things that need to be reevaluated. This is the time you need to sit with oneself. This is the time you need to look in the mirror. This is the time you need to look in oneself and look inside and say, you know what? Let me question these things around me. Why am I keep hitting this brick wall? Why things ain't working out in my life? Why do I keep feeling like I'm on a treadmill going nowhere fast? Why do I feel like the world is against me? Why do I feel like my friends against me? Why do I feel like my family against me? Why do I feel like the whole world is just against me? Maybe it's just only the possession of the mindset that I already have. Because I look at everybody as the op. Because I didn't build up that trust with oneself, so I look at everybody as the enemy, including myself. I look at everybody as the enemy, including myself, because I haven't trusted or built that trust factor within me yet. It starts micro and then get macro. It starts from within and then it spread it outwardly. It's not about who I compare it's not who I'm surrounded around. It's about who I compare myself to. So a lot of times we think we can't change our circumstances because we in an environment where it's dog eat dog. No, stop thinking like a dog. Start thinking like a dolphin. Start thinking like some of the smarter animals on the planet. If you want to compare, if you're using that as a comparison, stop thinking like a dog. Start thinking like a higher, form of entity, being, spiritual, body. Think of yourself as a god, goddesses. Think of yourself as a creator. Think of a person or a spirit or an entity that can have anything they want to have if they put their mind to it, if they're unwilling to stop, If you're willing to go on that trail, no matter who stops on that path, no matter who stays out later with you or not, when you start thinking from a higher level of, entity, deity, God, goddesses, you start thinking about on that level. No, I'm a creator. No, things don't happen to me. I create things. I don't sit around and be responsive to what happens to me and be reactionary. Why be reactionary? I create the response. I create I create what's going on around me. Instead of waiting for things to happen, having my hand out and thinking somebody's going to pay me, letting people pay me what they want to pay me. How about you demand and declare the money that you want to make in your life? How about you declare the happiness that you want to bring in your life? How about you declare the people that you want to be around? How about you declare the relationship that you want? How about you declare the children that you want? How about you declare the husband, the wife, the business, the work environment? How about you declare those things? And then only move in that same light to say, you know what? If this ain't for me, I'm off this. This distraction, this atrophy is gonna die in due time. I'm off this. But we gotta start moving like that with the mental first. Everything happens with the mental, in the mental. Everything around us that you see is created in the mind first. And it's so powerful, and the reason why I emphasize it so much, because we've been led astray. We've been taught to raise our hands just to be right. We become agreeable. I was Mr. Agreeable at one point in time. I told everybody they was right until I started to figure out, oh no, everybody can't be right. Oh, everybody can't be right due to the circumstance, due to this due to the framing of what's going on in this very particular moment. No, somebody can be right, somebody can be wrong. And 9 times out of 10, everybody can't be right at the same time. People do what they're accustomed to, which is understandable. It's understandable for people just to operate from the place and the space that they're in. But the only way that we get to that other level, denotative, the true state of things, is when we start declaring truth. We have connotative and denotative states of mind. Connotative is just go along to get along. That's a connotative way of thinking. I'm going along just to get along. When you say, from a denotative standpoint, when you say, nah, only thing we going to move on is truth. So whatever's wrong, we declaring that as wrong. Whatever is right, we're going to declare that as being right and move righteously. But sometimes we make these decisions to go along, to get along, depending on who it is. Or we don't want to ostracize somebody that's a prominent figure that's in entertainment. Wrong is wrong, right is right. We see the same thing happen with, just it's current events, but same thing like with Tory Lanez right now. Boy got stabbed up 14 times in prison, right? And there were some people that was around that seen exactly what happened, were unwilling to say what transpired. Because the truth is out there. What happened from what he doing time for may not be the truth. But now you got other people that was around witnessing the situation say, you know what? It's time to. I can't live from a go along, get along type of perspective. I got to be able to declare what's really going on, what happened, what transpired. A denotative perspective. I got to state the truth. And now we may see a turn of events. It may not. All I'm saying is that a lot of times we just go along to get along, and that doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it, because I was one of those personnels that done that. And I seen that the returns I was looking for, I didn't get. And I kept questioning why things don't feel right in my life. Why I'm upset. Why am I angry? Why I'm envious because that person got more money in his pocket or her pocket. Why am I pocket watching? Why I'm looking at what their relationship is looking like on TV? Why am I, body shaming myself because I'm the one that gained the weight. But I'm blaming everybody else. It's everybody else's fault because I'm unwilling to take responsibility. Your volume went down. Thank you, T. How about now, family? Let me know. Let me know if it's a little bit louder. Yo. Let me know how the volume is right now, family. In the chat, loved ones, let me know if the volume is right. It went down for a second. Let me know if we back and moving in the right direction. Give me the thumbs up. The yerp. Did I press something? It says we good now. Absolutely. I appreciate you, family. Thank you, loved ones. Yeah. So these are things that, that I think about frequently. What was primarily what I wanted to expound on when I first got on here, right? I thank you. I got me and my mother. I took my mother to the eye doctor about 2 weeks ago, right? And when me and my mother went to the eye doctor, me and my mom got on the elevator, and there was a lady that was looking to figure out where she wanted to go, right? The shit hit home. She was like looking for the eye doctor, ironically, right? And I don't think things happen for happenstance. I don't think things happen by chance, right? I think things happen divinely, right? So the lady was looking for the eye doctor. Just so happened to be it was the same eye doctor that me and my mother was going to, that my mother had to see. So the lady gets on the elevator, right? My mom said, come on, come with us. We take you there. So the lady said, okay, okay. She gets on the elevator. She looked at my mom. She looked at me. And she said, y'all mother and son? And me and my mom said, yeah. And she says, y'all hug right now. So me and my mom, listen to her. She said, y'all hug right now. Me and my mother embraced each other. We hugged. And the lady started to cry. So me and my mom looking at each other like, what's going on here? She said, I just lost my daughter yesterday, 30 years old, my only daughter. I have no grandbabies, no nothing. Ball down crying. Me and my mom looked at each other and we was like, if that wasn't a sign to show immense amount of gratitude and appreciation for those moments while we are here in real time, nothing else would have spoke to us the way that did. And that was a constant reminder of the jobs that we got to do when we're talking about embracing our loved ones, taking the time out, because tomorrow's not promised. The woulda, shoulda, coulda, if I only one more time. What happens if you don't have that one more time? You live a life full of regret. Because we know we had the ability to do it. We chose not to. So when the lady had us hug, and it's crazy because let me tell you, the day it didn't all day things was happening at the crib. I went to my mom's house and we in the crib and we have a picture on the wall that says family. While me and my mom in the crib, I'm sitting there, the picture on the wall falls. So my mom was like, just what my mom said, that's a sign. I don't know what that sign is telling us, but that's a sign. The picture that says family on the wall fell. Then my mom went, that fell. My mom went into the kitchen and she was making some boiled eggs. So she had a bowl, had to boil eggs in. Some miraculous way, the eggs fall over the floor. My mom's like, I'm telling you, there's a sign. There's something going on. There's a sign. She said, I don't know what this is, but there's a sign. The eggs fall over the floor. Me and my mom go to the doctor the same morning, and we seen a lady trying to navigate around to go to the same eye doctor that my mother had to go to. And then she broke the news to us about family and hugging, embracing, loving. Don't take these moments for granted. Because she said, I only wish I had the time to hug my daughter right now, her only daughter. Ball down crying. Her name was Susie. Don't forget the name either. Her name was Susie. We embraced, we exchanged names, and she kept looking at me and my mom's while we was in there. And I'm saying these things to let you know that tomorrow's not promised. We think we got a lot of time. Time is moving fast. So the more we sit back and contemplate on what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing, you may not have the time to think about it. If you're not living out your purpose right now, if you're not building that up right now, if you're not being consistent right now, if you're not showing proof of effort right now, tomorrow may not come. Somebody may, you know what? The reality is that some people don't wake up. Everybody in the world don't wake up tomorrow. That's a guarantee. There are going to be some deaths tomorrow. There are going to be some funerals tomorrow. It's going to happen. And we all going to go at some point in time. What I'm saying is that don't go to the grave empty, like Jazzy Jeff said. Meaning that don't leave your creativity out here. Don't leave your love out here. Don't leave all those things inside when you need to share those things because somebody else is dependent upon it, yourself included. You are dependent up showing up the best version of you today because you're going to impact somebody else's life that need it. Why you don't think that your children need the best mother or the best father or the best sibling or the best parent or the best, daughters? Why you think that we don't need to show up as the best version of themselves, as if the people around us don't depend on it? Because a lot of times we're looking for that love and support when we can't find it within oneself. We're trying to look for something to hold on to. And sometimes it may only be the children. It may only be the parent. It may only be, those entities or those things around you. Even though we know we're supposed to, build that thing from within, but we trying to hold on to any sight of, peace in our own mind, any sign of happiness in our world. We're trying to find things to hold on to. And then when those things start slipping, then we become really, really angry. We get really, really upset. We get mad at the world. It's everybody else's fault but our own. That's what starts to happen. We become bitter, become mad, dysfunctional. And then we start the programming all over again that, you know what? It's a dog-eat-dog world. And I start moving and thinking like, lower level animal. I'm not thinking from, being that spiritual being, that entity, that higher level, that creator, that God, that goddesses. The God that got us. We're not thinking from those perspectives anymore. And we start moving around like peasant mindset. We start doing things like that on a lower level. Elizabeth says, you have to show and tell your people you love them because tomorrow is never promised. You don't want to live the life with regrets, with I wish I would have, or if I did this one more time. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the truth, like, in all fairness, you can live the life the way you want to live it. But if something is telling you that this is not the way I want to live my life, this is where we start to make the necessary changes in order to reach that place of peace, happiness, and put our craftsmanship in the world, put our energy in the world that yields a higher return, not only for ourselves, for other people as well that depend on us. Have something else that other people that love us can hold on to when we do go. I remember that pleasurable time and that pleasurable experience that we had with one another. It's funny. My lips feel all chapped. But I was listening to Gary Vee. And he said, I got it in my phone. I freestyle it right now until I look at my phone. Right? He said that what he feel his life purpose is making sure every interaction with other people, making sure that interactions that he had with everybody that he come in contact with was a pleasurable experience. Let me get it up exactly because I don't want to misquote it. Even though I already chopped it up a bit, but let me get it up 2 seconds so I can say it verbatim. Because I think I do a disservice not doing it. He says, my self-worth is predicated upon people knowing the truth on how I interacted with them. Let me read that one more time. He said, my self-worth, for his perspective, my self-worth is predicated upon people knowing the truth on how I interacted with them. Oh, man. If that ain't the truth, reason why it hit home for me, because like I told you, I was a people pleaser. I told people what they wanted to hear to make their day go by. And for so long, I felt I did a disservice until I started to come into myself and start trusting in me and start saying, you know what, I have a valued opinion and this is my perspective. And I know some things that may be right, may be wrong, but I know that in all fairness, I've seeked out what I came to, collect the data when I came to this, this found knowledge, and I'm only sharing it from the perspective that I know it to be true, not from a perspective that I know is wrong and I'm sharing wrong information. So what I'm saying is that when I heard this from him, when he say that I just want people to know that when I come in contact with them, that our interactions my interactions were truth. I'm gonna read it again because I'm still chopping it up because I don't know verbatim. He says, my self-worth is predicated upon people knowing the truth on how I interacted with them. I want people to know the truth on how how my interactions when I come in contact with people, I want people to know how I really feel. How was our experience when we came in contact with each other? Was it pleasurable? Was it a bad experience? Was it happy times? Was it joyous times? Was it truth? Was it transparency? Was it honesty? Was it loyalty? These things matter to me, because I want that to be a testament to who I am as a person. Because I feel that I would serve at my highest level if I'm fully transparent on who I am and what I got to offer as a person. And then once I keep refining that and shaping and molding and keep, chipping away at my armor to get better and become better and better and better communicator and just love more and have higher levels of empathy and scale my level of empathy from what God instilled in the God. What my environment yielded, what my loved ones that cared about me enough, that share their sentiment, that helped me build up in those factions. I want to scale that. But the only way I'm able to do that is if I'm able to show up the best version of myself. And you deserve to be the best version of you. Because if you don't, people don't have nothing to hold on to when you're not there. But the things that you shared with them when it was in your presence, when they got that truth from you, that's forever lasting. When you show up transparent, true, loyal, honest, when you interact with people, whether people like it, dislike it, that's not the point. The point is that you showed up true. People will hold on to that for the rest of their lives, even when you're gone. Because people remember how you treated them. Like, people remember how that experience was when they were around you. That's why a lot of times when you see children, you could buy children anything. You could spend $1 million. A lot of times kids don't even know the value of money, but what they really look for, okay, was my love? Did I feel loved in those moments? Did I feel a sense of that? Do I feel cared about? That's why I'm very, very conscientious when I get around my nieces, my nephews, my peoples, my loved ones. I make sure that I take the time out for that, because I want them to know that I love them. And the only way I can do that besides spending on them is spending the time with them, so when they come around me, it's a pleasurable experience. That's for me. Everybody may not be that. I'm saying that, and for somebody that says they want to have higher levels of empathy, this is some of the things that I need to work on and scale to be a better version so I can offer more to other people. If you want to be able to be one of those personnels to where people, value your opinion, no matter how you show up, because they know that you're true, that they see truth in you, and they see transparency within you. They see, somebody that's willing to, stand 10 toes and say, you know what, tell how they feel and show up they best version of themselves. That's value in that. There's value in that. And I don't want to undermine that. Because there's so much that we have to offer. But we told in certain environments to don't have a voice. Nah, you're not qualified to speak. Nah, you're not really like that. You're not who you say you are, not yet. Everybody want to keep telling you that you're not ready. Man, how old are you? Where you been? You already got a testimony. Kids that been on this earth 5 years old, they got their own experiences as youth. Their experience on the playground, things they seen in their household. Not all children are the same. They see things depending on how they communicate, how they pick things up, how they getting communicated to. All of that are factors. They got their own testimonies as babies. That's why kids, when they ask you why, a child that don't ask no questions is in strictly on mute mode and just looking around, right? And don't want to ask no questions. It's like, well, who censored that child? Who told that child that they have to hide their voice, that they can't speak? You know what I mean? And we see some of these things in abusive households where, consequences of saying the wrong thing could be abuse. There's different variations of these things that go, in so many spiraling ways. And I'm just saying, like, I just want to make these things known that we always have a choice in the matter of how we do things. You always have a choice in how you show up. no matter what. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't be who you desire to be, because they don't know that. They don't know the path that you're walking down. They don't know where you desire to go. They don't know those thoughts that you carry from within. They only know what you're sharing with them from what they see what's going on around you. People misassociate you with, some of the things that you used to be. I know me. People sometimes misassociate me from what I used to do and who I used to be. So a lot of times where we communicate at is only from a level of what I did 20 years ago or who I was 20 years ago versus where I'm at in my space now. And no pun intended, because a lot of times we want to hold on to those people at those particular times because that's where we drew the most connection at. We can still do some of those same things if we looking to elevate our lives. If we looking for growth and development, I know that we can communicate on the same level. If you're looking just to be a better version of yourself every day, we can definitely communicate. But if you want to talk about what we did 20 years ago that don't serve us now, why are we talking about it? Not saying that history isn't important as far as like our lineage and our heritage and where we come from and customs, those things we carry. But if you want to talk about what we did on the corner 20 years ago, that really don't work well for me because I'm not in that space anymore. I left that 20 years ago. Personally. Not to anybody that's in that space. I'm saying that I've been there and I've done that and I want to go to somewhere else now, personally. That's it. So all I'm saying is figuring out where you want to be at and then associate and compare yourself to the people that want to be in that space. Whether you on a corner, whether you in a bar, whether you in a bank, whether you on television, whether you in entertainment, whether you a parent, whether you boss, whether you an employee, no matter what role you want to play, what hat you put on, you got the choice to do that. Build your space around the people that have the same interests, that have the same likes, that trying to go where you trying to go. That's all I'm saying. Find your tribe, find your people. Find your crowd of individuals that seek the same thing that you seek, because a lot of times we always get confused when we go into different spaces trying to be somebody or trying to rekindle things that don't align with who y'all are at the very moment. That's why some people move on in relationships. Some people grow, some people stay the same. Some people found each other when they were 14 and been together since they were 70 until they passed. Some people say, we can't stay together for a year because people change within that space, or some people learn and grow. That's what Eric Thomas, he said that, it's not about equal giving, it's about equal sacrifice. He said if me and my wife didn't grow every year, we won't be together. He been with his wife for over 20 years, whatever. But he said at the point that one of us stop learning and growing, we won't be with each other because we will become different people, and that's okay. Just understand that these dynamics always change. It's all predicated upon who you want to be and the people that you're around, where y'all going. And a lot of times you may end up walking down this road yourself. That's cool too, but be prepared to do that. Be prepared to show up every day to do your job, with or without, and everything else gonna work itself out. Because there gonna be some people that come along your journey that may be seasonal, that may be long term, etc. But your tribe of people will find you. You will find them, because you will find yourself doing the same thing. Y'all carrying out the same behaviors. Y'all be in the same place. You see some people that's in Starbucks and some people at the night cafes on the computers. They doing the same thing. Some people that's in the library. What they doing in the library? They all readers. They like books. They like to use the computers. They do things. They in the same environment. People like us do things like this. Find your tribe. But before you find your tribe, you got to find you. Before you find your tribe, you got to find you. Man, today was a powerful build. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. If I said anything that offended anybody, that wasn't my point of contention. It wasn't here to offend. My premise and purpose is to gain more knowledge and more understanding, because I'm a person that's on a journey that's constantly seeking truth, because I want to implement those things inside my life. And if you're a truth seeker, there's it's inevitable for you not to be in the shared space with one another, because obviously we all on the same frequency. We all here together. Not one person is here. No, we all here together. That's why we learning and growing through our shared mind, our shared experiences. Because we all going to a place of learning and growing. That's why it's a beautiful thing when I can feel open when I'm here, because I speak very, very freely. Because I know that if I do something that's out of compliance, or if I say something, I could get cross reference, and somebody in my shared space be like, "Yo, Johnny, nah. Now you said this last week. How you feel about that today? No, you said this about that. How did you? I love it, because now we can get great dialogue of figuring out who we are and where we trying to go. Does it suit me? Does it not suit me? Elizabeth says, water your own garden so you can grow beautifully. Powerful. Oh, I love that. Water your own garden so you can grow beautifully. Powerful, powerful, powerful. I love everybody that showed up. I love everybody that comes in contact with us in due time and see it. And if it impacts you in a beautiful way and it can water your garden, allow it to. If it doesn't and it doesn't suit you, dismiss it. Dismiss it. And find your own truth. Find what works for you. Because the thing is, you need to you need to implement things in your own life that works for you. Everything don't work for everybody the same way. When I asked my nephew, "Can you be anything?" my nephew said no, because the only thing he knows, he can be the better version of himself. Powerful answer. Love it, love it, love it. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. Come on, loved ones. Come on, loved ones. It was a powerful day today. I'm super, super appreciative. Next week, we have a dope guest. My big brother will be on. Money will be on next week. Oh, man, it's going to be a dope joint. My brother, he been through so much. My brother's like a nomad globally, everywhere. Heart of gold. I'll be definitely going to tap in next week. We got Quay coming up the following week. So we got a good itinerary on the Respectfully Great podcast in due time. If you know people that have a story, have a business, have something to share with us that we all can learn and grow from, going through these changes and these phases, been somewhere that we can learn from, please, tap in with the God and let's just bring them up. Let's have the dialogue. Let's have the conversation. Let's see what we can learn and grow from. Let's see how we get to a denotative perspective. Let's find prudence, having high quality decision making. Let's have high agency, being able to make decisions on our own. Let's do these things because this will enable the trust factors. These are the things that will allow us to look inside the mirror and say, you know what, I trust me. And now I can trust other people. Because like Myron Golden said, we the only person or the people or personnel that heard every lie that we told ourselves. So when we constantly lying to ourselves, knowing that we're not transparent and not truthful, the results will yield the same when we're looking at other people. We look for fault in other people. We look for dismissiveness. We look for inconsistency. We look for shame. We look for blame. We look for, all those things that will allow us not to build up that trust. And we want to be able to shy away from those things and, implement a different type of mindset for ourselves that we can yield a higher return to build up tolerance, to be great respectfully, to be great respectfully, to be great respectfully. I love y'all unconditionally. Another shameless plug, go to respectfullygreat.com, shop today. If you haven't yet subscribed, go to @respectfullygreat on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel because we need the subscribers up. Your subscription matters. Tell a friend and tell a friend. All it is a click of a button. All it is a click of a button. Share the love, spread the love. Oh, go to Guapavelli, my nephew, Kyrie, Guapavelli.com. My nephew's booming at the trap. Shout out to him going down there, doing his thing in Georgia, jet setting, putting his leg work in, grinding, hustling, being true to who he is. Powerful. Shout out to my niece's nephew, Dav, going to St. John's, going to college, doing his 1-2 graduation. So I love you unconditionally. Keep pouring more into yourself. You keep. I can't emphasize it enough. Be you. 100% you, because you were designed to be you, uniquely. Everybody got a different ID on their fingerprint, uniquely. Nobody in the planet got the same fingerprint that you have. That shows you right now that you are a unique specimen. That's your leverage, your uniqueness. People try to downplay. They will try to tell you that you're not qualified to show up the best version of you. Who you to tell me who I need to be, right? So if I offended anybody tonight, once again, that wasn't my point of contention. That wasn't my intent. But I would love for you to be fully transparent with me. If there's some things that you know I need to work on, things I need to be better at, please share them with me, because my whole sentiment is trying to be better, and showing up better, being a better person that has higher level of empathy, is a better communicator, somebody that loves more, be able to, be fine and just grow. So once again, love yourself, accept yourself, 90% loved one. Love yourself, accept yourself, and once you start doing that, it's trusting who you are, then we'll be able to get to those next levels of building each other up. Affordable, black in the building, car rentals. Go get your car service. Shameless plug. Go shop at Affordable Car Rentals today. We got all different type of rentals from weekly, monthly, daily. The rates are affordable rates, cash. Please bring it. Please respect the business. Please come through. Share the love. Spread the word. Affordable Rentals. Sponsored by Affordable Rentals. This podcast has been sponsored by Affordable Rentals. Guapavelli Clothing. Bag Money Only Clothing. BMO. Respectfully Great. All of the sponsors. 4 sponsors today. You dig? 4 pockets full. You heard? We out here. Love y'all. Stay safe. See y'all next week. Look forward to the new guests that's coming up in the later dates. And we go turn up. Go turn up. You dig? Respectfully.